You've probably seen the headlines. A possible US government shutdown, Exxon cutting 2,000 jobs, and warnings that the dollar could crash. It sounds huge. But what is actually true? And what does a shutdown really mean? Top US congressional leaders met with President Trump at the White House just days before the October 1 funding deadline. They discussed ways to avoid a government shutdown, but the meeting ended without a unanimous agreement. At the same time, ExxonMobil announced it's cutting about 2,000 jobs globally as part of a restructuring move. On social media, some posts warn these two events will crash the US job markets and weaken the dollar. So, how much of that is real and how much is hype? First, the facts. The meeting in Washington is real. Leaders are trying to avoid a funding lapse before the deadline. Exxon really is cutting about 2,000 jobs. But the claim that this alone will wreck the US job market is exaggerated. America's labor force is over 160 million people. This hurts energy workers in some regions, but it won't by itself sink the national data. As for the dollar, it can dip when investors see political gridlock or risk of a shutdown, but a single company's layoffs usually don't move the currency. Market reactions depend on a mix of things: interest rates, inflation, global demand for US assets, not just one headline. So, what is a US government shutdown? It is not just a scary headline. In the US, Congress must pass spending bills every year to keep government departments running. If they can't agree and no temporary bill is passed, then legally many agencies can't spend money. That means hundreds of thousands of federal employees are told to stay home, and we call that being furloughed. Essential services like the military, border security, air traffic control, social security payments keep going. But a lot of routine services pause. Passport offices, some parks, research labs, even some call centers. In many countries, we'd call this kind of stoppage a strike. But in the US, it's different. Workers aren't refusing to work. They are usually ready to work, but the law forbids agencies from paying them until Congress passes a budget. It's basically a funding freeze, not a labor protest. When a shutdown ends, workers usually get paid retroactively. Economically, a short shutdown can slow growth a little. Fewer government paychecks mean less spending for a few weeks. If it drags on for a month or more, the hit to GDP and confidence can get serious. Markets sometimes react with a weaker dollar, partly because investors dislike uncertainty and because key economic reports like jobs or inflation data can be delayed. But historically, when the shutdown ends and paychecks go out, the economy tends to bounce back. So, the viral posts aren't entirely wrong. There are real concerns, but it is not an automatic collapse of the dollar or the job market. It's more like a political standoff that can slow things down a while. Understanding the difference helps avoid panic. If you found this breakdown helpful, share it and follow for more clear-cut explainers on big economic stories. CMG AURASPACE. Huspa.
Aura Snap Arts Media. Build your brand, capture attention, drive growth.